Check this out. Keyshawn Davis proclaims himself as the businessman. I have zero issues with that. Boxers should know their worth. They should understand the nuances of contracts, purses, leverage, and what their name brings to the proverbial table. Because the sport of boxing has an extensive history of fighters discovering what everyone else made off of them long after the money has been spent. There's another part of being a businessman that goes under the radar, and that's knowing when you don't have the leverage you think you have. And Keyshawn Davis turning down his opportunity to challenge Devin Haney may become one of the most expensive business lessons of his career. The WBO ordered negotiations between the camps of Davis's and Haney's. A purse bid came into play once a deal wasn't reached. The purse bid ultimately produced a 8.55 million winning offer from Davis's promotion, Top Rank. Since going to purse bid, the WBO has a required 75-25 split between champion and challenger, meaning that Davis will receive approximately $2.14 million. It's been reported that Bob Arum subsequently said Top Rank had offered Davis $3 million before the purse bid, illustrating it as roughly triple Davis's previous career high purse. So what the consumer got out of this was something that was resembling an open market test for this event. The purse bid provided a number, and it wasn't what Keyshawn expected. I don't believe that Keyshawn Davis is scared of Devin Haney. The same way I don't believe that any world-class fighter is scared of another world-class fighter. It's all business. As DJ Quick said, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. For this specific circumstance, there's three separate concepts to view value in business. Market value, which is what someone is willing to pay you. Self-valuation, what you believe that you're worth. And lastly, opportunity value, what accepting less today might enable you to earn tomorrow. Keyshawn and Top Rank are disagreeing about which value matters most right now. $3 million pre-purse bid or $2.14 million post-purse bid were the prices of the Haney fight. But Haney himself, the WBO championship, and the potential of what a victory might do for Keyshawn's career are part of the value of the Haney fight. A businessman that only evaluates the check can miss the value contained inside the opportunity. Here's the issue though. Keyshawn Davis has spent years selling the public that he's the businessman. So now we have to evaluate the business. One of the major essentials of any business is its branding. Presentation allows the consumer to understand exactly what to expect from said product or brand. Here's where branding can become dangerous. When Keyshawn Davis spends the majority of the year calling out fighters, trolling fighters, vying to be the guy in his entire lineage, or as New Yorkers say it, lineage. Once you cast yourself in that role, you inherit the effects from it. Thus, in turn, he's creating a brand promise to the consumer, and promises must come with fulfillment. You can't spend months selling danger, and then when it's time to fight, you're Ben Affleck. The consumer don't know the guarantees, percentages, the back end, site fees, contractual extensions, or promotional politics. And to simply put it, most of them don't care. They're going to remember two images. Keyshawn calling everybody in their bloodline out, and Keyshawn declining the Devin Haney fight. I watched Keyshawn's trainer, Dorsett Barnwell, do an interview, and Barnwell mentions that Keyshawn receiving less money than Brian Norman Jr. to fight Devin Haney is absurd. Okay, so you call yourself the businessman. So let's go ahead and audit the business. When Brian Norman Jr. fought Haney, Norman Jr. was the WBO champion, while Keyshawn hasn't even had a fight at welterweight yet. Those aren't equivalent negotiating positions. The economic circumstances weren't equivalent either. The Haney Norman bout took place on the Turkey Alex Sheik funded card. And Turkey be throwing money like a trick at the strip club. This Haney Davis fight is funded by Top Rank. And for those of you that are familiar, you know how Bob Arum gives it up. Hey Terrence, I could have bought a mansion in Beverly Hills if I didn't fund your last 3 fights. You're costing me money. That's Top Rank economics. That's where the importance of leverage comes into play. There is potential leverage and there is proven leverage. Potential leverage consists of talent, charisma, markability, youth, and amateur pedigree, while proven leverage is championships, gates, pay-per-view sales, reliable ticket sales, irreplaceability, reliability. Keyshawn has plenty of potential leverage. The real question is, how much proven leverage has he accumulated? His recent history has weakened rather than strengthened his negotiating position. The disastrous weekend in his hometown of Norfolk during June 2025. The weekend where Keyshawn Davis lost his WBO lightweight championship on the scales, missing weight by 4.3 pounds, leading to his fight, the main event, to be canceled. Refunds had to be offered, and the commercial momentum of what was supposed to be Keyshawn's hometown showcase took a hit. At this same event, after Nahir Albright defeated Keyshawn's brother, Kelvin Davis, in the co-main event, Albright would allege that Keyshawn approached him backstage and headbutted him. Reports documented an altercation. Keyshawn himself would deny physically assaulting Albright. Now, whether you believe Albright's entire account or not, the incident added another reputational problem to a weekend that was already a commercial disaster. This wouldn't be the first incident where Keyshawn harmed the value of his brand. In 2023, his win over Nahir Albright, yes, the same guy we just mentioned, would become a no contest after a positive marijuana test. Davis received a 90-day suspension, delaying his already scheduled fight with Jose Pedraza. So before the Haney negotiations even took place, Keyshawn had already spent reputational capital. Every incident affects the risk calculation of people investing money into Keyshawn Davis. Yes, we know he's talented, but talent isn't the only attribute that gets evaluated in business. Will he make weight? Will the fight even happen? Can I sell tickets around him? Could another controversy jeopardize the investment? 2026 was supposed to be the year that Keyshawn rebuilt trust with his promoter, the public, and the image of his brand. With wins over Jermaine Ortiz and Nahir Albright, yes, him again. Keyshawn's stock began to trend upwards, which is why declining his Haney fight is unusual. Keyshawn wasn't declining something he'd spent 5 years being denied. He was declining an abnormally fast path to another world championship. Which makes me question, what is this man's BATNA? If you're not fighting Haney, then who the hell are you fighting? Walking away is only leverage when another door is open. Otherwise, you haven't exercised leverage. You've surrendered an opportunity. Which brings me to the flip side of this. What if Keyshawn Davis is right? What if this is some big 2,000 plus IQ move being played? Maybe Keyshawn and his team is privy to information that hasn't reached the public yet. Perhaps the pre or post purse bid money is not worth attaching themselves to contractual options or extensions that will later be detrimental towards their business. Maybe they've calculated that the upside of waiting outweighs the championship opportunity that they're surrendering. And this is important. A perceived good business decision can produce a bad outcome. And a perceived bad decision can occasionally produce a good outcome. So I'm not judging Keyshawn by whatever happens 6 months from now. I'm basing this evaluation off the information and alternatives that are available today, which is why the next moves for Keyshawn Davis will be the most important of his career. Davis is 27 years old. Opportunity waits for no man. The sport of boxing can age a fighter and their value faster than milk chilling on asphalt in 100-degree weather. In 1981, Aaron Pryor had an opportunity to fight Roberto Duran at Madison Square Garden. Pryor was offered $750,000, but was advised by his attorney to not take the fight. Due to business that wasn't necessarily Pryor's fault, he had to turn down the biggest fight of his career to this point. By the time Pryor got his business in order, the market had moved on. The demand that once existed for a Roberto Duran level opportunity had expired, and Pryor would never receive a deal again with comparable commercial upside. That's why timing is important in business. Opportunity doesn't care why you missed it. Ronald Winky Wright is a scarier comparison because his issue actually pertained to valuation. By the early 2000s, Wright was respected as a champion but lacked the commercial profile of boxing's biggest stars. He had an opportunity to fight Oscar De La Hoya in 2002, but believed the offer undervalued him. Thus, the fight didn't take place. Wright would later increase his market value by defeating Shane Mosley twice and Felix Trinidad. By 2005, these successes would bring another De La Hoya opportunity, an opportunity that was reportedly worth around $6 million guaranteed with additional pay-per-view upside. Again, Wright rejected it because he believed that his resume justified more. Thus, the fight didn't take place. Again, around this same time frame, negotiations also developed for a fight with Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Winky Wright. Now, Wright reportedly wanted a 50-50 split. Thus, the third time isn't the charm. After failing to close high-value deals with both Oscar De La Hoya and Floyd Mayweather Jr., Winky Wright entered the final stage of his career without securing either marquee opportunity. Wright will finish his last 6 fights with a 2-3-1 record, and never again found himself negotiating opportunities with comparable commercial upside. The thing about this is that Winky wasn't crazy for believing he deserved more. That is what makes business brutal. Winky may have been right about his value and still wrong about the decision. Being right about what you're worth does not automatically mean you're right to walk away. I do believe that Keyshawn can recover his reputational capital and change the narrative currently around his name. The first and most obvious is fighting Devin Haney. This is his black cloud. Fighting Haney repairs the narrative. Beating Haney reverses the narrative. Until he actually fights Haney, the decision to walk away from Haney will remain part of the conversation around him. And Keyshawn should be looking for the Haney fight soon. I'd say roughly within a year, because Haney isn't obligated to stay at welterweight waiting for Keyshawn to set up his perfect business plan. The landscape of boxing can change with one single fight. The second option would replace the narrative, and that's fighting Shakur Stevenson. I know. I get it. Look, I'll be honest with you. I never cared nor gave energy to these dudes saying they wouldn't fight each other. I'll say this. Brotherhood is easy when the money isn't on the table. I seen an interview in 2025 where Andre Ward asked Shakur Stevenson about the possibility of fighting Keyshawn if someone like Turkey was funding the fight. Instead of staying strong on his denial, Shakur indicated that the right number could change the conversation. Keyshawn will respond on social media by saying, "Send the offer then." So apparently, brotherhood has a price, which is fine because everything in the sport of boxing does. Maybe this Haney situation becomes the catalyst that set a fight between them two in motion because something has to give. You can't turn down one elite level fighter for business purposes while simultaneously declaring another elite level fighter off limits for personal reasons. Eventually, the available market becomes too small. At the current moment, I don't think this particular option will happen soon. The last option is to overwhelm the narrative. If Keyshawn believes the market undervalue him, then force the market to revalue you. Be champions, be top contenders, be dangerous opponents, increase name value, gross high gates. Show that you're reliable and irreplaceable. Make yourself undeniable. Keyshawn Davis can recover from this, but recovery comes with a cost. My concern is that the businessman may be focused on maximizing the value of the next transaction when he should be maximizing the value of the entire career. Boxing history is full of fighters who thought the next opportunity would be bigger. Sometimes it was. Sometimes the phone never rang again. Sometimes you take less today because winning creates more tomorrow. Sometimes the title creates leverage. Sometimes the opponent creates leverage. And sometimes you demand tomorrow's price before you've created tomorrow's value. That's the gamble Keyshawn Davis is making. Maybe he sees something that the rest of us don't. But if he continues to confuse self-valuation with leverage, eventually the market has a way of correcting you. And that correction could put the businessman out of business.